or strawberry crazy co. Oh no?
Wow!
What? Milk chocolate, delicious caramel.
I'm one of the new funny-faced drinks from Pillsbury.
The 1960s were a time of bold innovation and colorful experimentation in America's snack industry, with companies constantly trying to capture both children's imaginations and adult curiosity. From futuristic energy bars to quirky cereals and eccentric candies, manufacturers pushed boundaries in flavor, packaging, and concept. Yet not every experiment succeeded. So, join us as we explore 20 famous snacks from the 1960s that failed miserably. In the era of playful, character-driven products, Funny-Face Drink Mix emerged in 1964 with the promise of turning ordinary beverages into colorful, flavored fun.
But why they call me Goofy, I don't know.
Packaged in small, brightly colored packets, the mix featured cartoon mascots like Goofy Grape and Rootin' Tootin' Raspberry, aiming to appeal to children with imaginative branding. The flavors were sweet and intensely artificial, which initially attracted young consumers, but parents often criticized the product for excessive sugar and chemical-tasting ingredients. Although advertising emphasized creativity and fun, the novelty couldn't overcome flavor limitations and stiff competition from Kool-Aid and other powdered drinks. By 1969, Funny-Face Drink Mix had largely disappeared from shelves. Its story reflects a 1960s marketing trend that prioritized eye-catching characters and gimmicks, but ultimately failed to sustain long-term consumer loyalty. Today, it is fondly remembered as a colorful relic of mid-century snack experimentation.
Look for us at your store. Funny-Faced drinks from Pillsbury.
Funny faces.
The convenience food craze of the late 1960s gave rise to innovative attempts like Danka toaster snacks, introduced in 1968. These small, toaster-ready pastries aimed to provide a quick, hot snack, filled with savory or sweet flavors, catering to busy families and children seeking a fast alternative to traditional baked goods.
But now that the novelty's worn off, people want their toaster pastries to do more than pop up.
The concept was promising. Just pop the pastry into the toaster, and a warm, ready-to-eat snack emerged. However, the execution fell short. Fillings were often sparse or overly artificial, and the pastry's texture was inconsistent, becoming either too dry or soggy depending on toasting time. Marketing emphasized ease and novelty, but Danka toaster snacks struggled against more familiar, better-tasting brands like Pop-Tarts, which had already established reliability and flavor consistency.
In other words, we made Danka the first toaster pastry that deserves to be called.
By 1970, the product was discontinued. Today, it stands as a testament to the 1960s experimentation with convenience foods that sometimes prioritized novelty over flavor and quality. Whip and Chill was a 1960s dessert innovation that promised convenience and indulgence, but ultimately failed to capture the public's imagination. Marketed as a pre-mixed, ready-to-chill treat, it aimed to simplify dessert preparation for busy homemakers.
Miss Hanson, I'd like you to compare our chocolate Whip and Chill with this other chocolate.
The concept sounded appealing. A smooth, creamy dessert you could whip up in minutes without baking. However, the execution fell short. The texture often came out too artificial, lacking the richness of homemade pudding or custard. The flavors were overly sweet and synthetic, leaving consumers dissatisfied. Additionally, its quirky packaging couldn't compete with established dessert brands that had already built trust.
You want to know something? Actually, the other dessert is new Whip and Chill.
Despite heavy advertising, Whip and Chill quickly faded from store shelves, remembered today only as a curious relic of 1960s snack experimentation. But could extreme flavors in chewing gum succeed where cookies fell short? The mid-1960s saw chewing gum manufacturers experimenting with wild flavors and eye-catching branding, and Gator Gum exemplified this trend.
Active people are discovering the gum that's different. Now
You can lick.
It promised children extreme taste experiences with vibrant colors, unusual flavor combinations, and quirky mascot-driven packaging. The marketing heavily targeted young audiences who were drawn to the novelty factor, but the product failed to meet expectations in the long term. The gum was overly sticky, lacked consistent chewiness, and the intense artificial flavors often left an unpleasant aftertaste. Parents were hesitant to repurchase due to the excessive sweetness and artificial ingredients, while children quickly lost interest once the novelty wore off. Competing with well-established brands like Wrigley's and Juicy Fruit, Gator Gum could not carve a niche in the crowded chewing gum market. But it was discontinued, remembered today as a daring but ultimately flawed experiment in extreme flavors and novelty marketing. In an era when breakfast cereals were undergoing colorful experimentation, Frosty O's cereal attempted to combine sweetness with a simple oat-based shape to attract children. Launched in 1969, these frosted oat rings were designed to appeal visually and offer an easy-to-eat breakfast alternative. While the concept seemed promising, the product struggled with flavor consistency and identity. The frosting often became soggy in milk, and the cereal itself lacked a distinctive taste that could compete with iconic cereals like Cheerios, Cocoa Puffs, or Cap'n Crunch. Marketing efforts were minimal, relying primarily on the product's novelty rather than a memorable mascot or storyline. Without a strong brand presence, Frosty O's failed to capture lasting attention from children or parents. By the early 1970s, it was quietly discontinued. Today, Frosty O's serves as an example of how 1960s cereal innovation sometimes prioritized visual appeal over flavor and consumer satisfaction.
They give lasting energy and good nutrition. At about 44 calories a stick, they're the perfect between-meal energy snack.
The fascination with space exploration in the 1960s inspired many companies to experiment with futuristic food concepts, and space food sticks were a direct product of this trend. Introduced in 1968 by Pillsbury, these bars were designed as a portable, nutritionally balanced snack, intended to mimic the type of food astronauts might consume in zero gravity. Marketed to children and adults alike, they were touted as an energy boost for busy lifestyles or outdoor adventures. Despite the innovative concept, the bars failed to capture long-term consumer interest. The texture was dense and chewy,
Hamburger style, or cheeseburger style, and sloppy joe.
and the taste was often described as bland or overly processed. While the science fiction-inspired branding initially sparked curiosity, it couldn't overcome the practical shortcomings of flavor and texture. Competing with conventional candy bars and snack foods, space food sticks quickly lost their novelty. By the early 1970s, they were largely discontinued, remembered as a quirky attempt to bring space-age excitement to American snack aisles. When space-themed bars failed, could whimsical character cereals capture the imagination of kids instead? Amid the rise of character-driven cereals in the late 1960s, Baron von Redberry cereal tried to capture children's imaginations with a colorful, adventurous mascot. Introduced in 1969 by General Mills, the cereal featured bright red berry-flavored pieces and a whimsical Baron character, designed to stand out on crowded supermarket shelves. Marketing emphasized playful storytelling, presenting the Baron as a mischievous yet charming figure who would entertain children during breakfast. However, the flavor failed to live up to expectations, with the overly artificial berry taste turning off many consumers.
That was great fun. Watch this.
Additionally, the cereal faced stiff competition from already established monster cereals like Count Chocula. Despite its creative packaging and mascot appeal, Baron von Redberry could not sustain sales and was discontinued within a year. Today, it is remembered as one of General Mills' more imaginative but ultimately unsuccessful attempts to merge character branding with breakfast cereal during the 1960s cereal craze. Candy cigarettes were a controversial yet popular novelty treat of the 1960s, designed to mimic real cigarettes in miniature form. Packaged in small, paper-wrapped sticks with red tips resembling lit ends, they allowed children to imitate adult smoking behaviors in a playful way. The concept capitalized on the era's fascination with adult habits and pop culture, appealing to kids' desire to emulate grown-ups. However, the product faced growing criticism as health awareness increased.
Back in the 1950s, there is evidence that candy makers actually worked with the cigarette companies,
with parents and advocacy groups questioning the implications of normalizing smoking for children. Flavor-wise, they were typically chalky and overly sweet. often leaving a powdery residue. Despite initial popularity, changing social attitudes and rising health concerns led to their decline, making candy cigarettes a nostalgic yet controversial emblem of 1960s snacking culture. Following the trend of colorful, character-driven cereals in the 1960s, Sir Grapefellow cereal was General Mills's attempt to create a whimsical, fruit-flavored option for children. Launched in 1969, the cereal featured a grape-flavored formula paired with a charming British pilot mascot, designed to appeal to kids with adventurous and playful imagery. Marketing campaigns highlighted the fun and mischief of the character, promising a breakfast that combined excitement with taste. However, the flavor was overly artificial and did not resonate with many children, while the cereal itself failed to differentiate itself significantly from other fruit-flavored cereals already on the market. The timing also coincided with other monster cereal launches, which overshadowed Sir Grapefellow's presence on shelves. Sales quickly declined, and the product was discontinued within a year. Today, Sir Grapefellow remains a nostalgic example of 1960s cereal innovation that prioritized character appeal over lasting consumer satisfaction. The late 1960s witnessed experimentation with health-conscious snacks, and Bambianos were an ambitious attempt to capitalize on the growing interest in protein-rich foods. Introduced in 1969, these roasted soybeans were marketed as a nutritious, high-protein snack alternative to traditional chips and candy. They came in small, convenient packages designed for children and adults seeking a wholesome option. Despite their promising nutritional profile, Bambianos struggled to gain traction. The taste was often described as bland or overly bean-like, and the hard texture made them difficult for some to enjoy.
Most of us think of this little bean as feed for livestock, but in fact...
Additionally, many consumers experienced digestive discomfort, which contributed to poor repeat purchases. Marketing emphasized health benefits over flavor appeal, but this was insufficient in a market dominated by sweet and salty snacks. Within a year, Bambianos disappeared from shelves. Today, the snack is remembered as a bold but flawed experiment in combining nutrition and convenience for an audience not yet ready for plant-based snacking. Could unconventional nutrition-focused snacks succeed where soybeans fell short, using novelty and convenience instead? During the 1960s, food convenience reached new heights with Snack-Mate cheese in a can, introduced in 1965. This innovative product allowed consumers to spray processed cheese directly onto crackers, vegetables, or other foods, promising instant fun and flavor. Marketed as a futuristic snack solution, it appealed to children and families looking for novelty and ease. Despite the clever packaging and convenience factor, the product faced significant obstacles. The cheese's artificial taste and unappealing texture put off many consumers.
For the famous Philadelphia brand cream cheese, an 8-ounce packet.
And the novelty quickly wore off. Parents were skeptical of the health implications and chemicals involved, while children found it messy and difficult to control. Competing with traditional cheese slices and spreads that offered familiar flavors and consistency, Snack-Mate cheese in a can failed to build loyalty. By 1969, the product had been discontinued, standing today as a symbol of 1960s culinary experimentation, where creativity sometimes overshadowed taste and practicality. The 1960s snack market thrived on novelty, and Pizza Spins tried to combine the rising popularity of pizza with the convenience of chips. Launched in 1968, these small, pizza-flavored snack chips were designed for children seeking fun, savory options outside traditional meals. The concept was visually appealing, with bright packaging and promises of delivering pizza flavor in every bite. However, the execution left much to be desired. Many consumers criticized the artificial taste.
I'd like to talk to you about that music you're using.
That's funny.
While others found the texture lacking in the satisfying crunch expected from chips. Moreover, the snack faced stiff competition from established brands like Fritos and Lay's, which offered familiar flavors and consistent quality. Despite creative marketing efforts, Pizza Spins never achieved long-term popularity. By 1970, it was quietly discontinued. Today, Pizza Spins is remembered as a quirky, short-lived attempt to transform the beloved pizza experience into a portable, shelf-stable snack. Fruit Brute cereal joined the Monster cereal craze, aiming to captivate children with fruity flavors and playful characters. Produced by General Mills, it featured bright, fruity cereal pieces alongside a werewolf mascot, combining visual appeal with storytelling. The cereal's bold marketing promised fun-filled mornings and imaginative adventures at the breakfast table. Despite the colorful design and mascot appeal, Fruit Brute struggled with taste.
Despite flour. With complete breakfast.
The overly artificial fruit flavors and inconsistent texture failed to satisfy children accustomed to sweeter, more reliable cereals. It also faced competition from other Monster cereals, such as Count Chocula, which overshadowed its presence. Parents were reluctant to repurchase due to the high sugar content and lack of nutritional value. Within a year, Fruit Brute was discontinued, making it one of the shortest-lived cereal experiments of its era. Today, it is remembered nostalgically as a creative but ultimately unsuccessful attempt to combine fun, flavor, and branding.
But new Fruit Brute has fruit-flavored sweeties for the howling good taste of...
As microwaves became more common in American kitchens during the late 1960s, Mug-O Lunch attempted to revolutionize convenience meals. Introduced in 1968, these single-serving meals were packaged in mugs and designed to be quickly microwaved, offering children and busy adults a fast lunch option. Marketing highlighted the novelty of hot lunch in minutes and positioned the product as both practical and fun. However, Mug-O Lunch struggled with taste, texture, and portion control. Meals often became soggy or unevenly heated, and flavors were bland or artificial.
Boy, macaroni and cheese.
Mine's spaghetti.
Additionally, the product's convenience could not compensate for a lack of appetizing appeal, especially compared with homemade or packaged alternatives that offered better taste. Sales quickly declined, and the product was discontinued by 1970.
You trying to take advantage of us?
Gossage and Pinella. The New York Yankees?
Today, Mug-O Lunch serves as a historical example of early microwave-era experimentation, demonstrating that innovation in convenience sometimes outpaced consumer readiness and flavor expectations.
The trick is Mug-O Lunch, new from Betty Crocker. 3 tasty hot dishes you make in a mug.
Fizzies were a quirky and ambitious drink product introduced in the 1960s, designed to transform plain water into fizzy, flavored soda with the simple addition of a tablet. Marketed as a fun, convenient, and portable way to enjoy soda at home or on the go, Fizzies promised children and teenagers a novel beverage experience. The concept was imaginative, tapping into the excitement of homemade drinks and effervescence. However, the execution left much to be desired.
Like Fizzies. It's an old-fashioned candy that's making an explosive comeback. Watch.
Many consumers found the tablets to be overly chalky, with artificial and inconsistent flavors. The resulting drink often lacked the refreshing taste of traditional sodas. Despite clever advertising and its novelty appeal, Fizzies failed to gain lasting popularity and eventually disappeared from store shelves. But could milk-transforming cereals bring the wow factor back to breakfast tables? In a decade of character-driven breakfast experimentation, Crazy Cow cereal was introduced in 1969 with the goal of transforming milk into a flavored adventure. Each bite of the cereal promised to create chocolate or strawberry milk, targeting children who loved novelty and fun at breakfast.
He's awake.
Well, who can sleep with all that crunching and munching?
Bright packaging featured a playful cow mascot, reinforcing the idea of interactive mealtime enjoyment. Despite its imaginative concept, the cereal faltered due to its overly artificial taste and lack of appeal beyond the initial novelty factor. Parents were wary of the high sugar content, while children quickly moved on to more established options, such as Cocoa Puffs or Count Chocula. Marketing campaigns couldn't overcome the inconsistent flavor and texture. Within a year, Crazy Cow cereal was discontinued, leaving behind only nostalgic memories. It remains a testament to 1960s cereal innovation, showing that gimmicks alone were insufficient to sustain a product in the competitive breakfast market.
Chocolate or strawberry Crazy Cow? Oh no!
The candy market of the 1960s was ripe for experimentation, and Marathon Bar was a bold attempt to stand out with a unique braided caramel design.
What? Milk chocolate! Delicious caramel!
It combined chewy caramel with milk chocolate in a long, rope-like bar, aiming to offer both visual novelty and indulgent flavor. Packaging emphasized the marathon theme, suggesting energy, endurance, and fun, targeting children and teens seeking an adventurous snack. Despite this, the bar struggled to gain a strong following. Many found the caramel overly sticky, making it difficult to chew and eat on the go, while the chocolate coating did not add enough distinction to justify the novelty format. Competing against popular candy bars like Milky Way, Snickers, and Reese's, Marathon Bar could not secure a lasting place in the market.
I show you milk chocolate, delicious caramel.
By the early 1970s, it was discontinued. Today, it is remembered as a creative but flawed candy experiment emblematic of the 1960s playful approach to confectionery design.
You can't eat a marathon candy bar fast, quick, Kurt. It lasts.
In the midst of 1960s snack innovation, Kugel-flavored peanut butter attempted to transform a pantry staple into an exciting treat for children.
Vanilla, banana, cinnamon too, but chocolate Kugel.
Introduced in 1968, the product featured peanut butter infused with flavors like chocolate, cinnamon, and other unusual combinations, and was packaged in colorful jars to attract young buyers. The marketing emphasized creativity and fun, encouraging children to experiment with peanut butter in sandwiches and snacks. Despite the bold concept, the product failed to appeal broadly. Many consumers found the flavors unappealing or artificial, while parents were skeptical about the sugar content and unusual taste combinations. Competing against classic peanut butter brands like Jif and Skippy, Kugel couldn't establish a loyal customer base. By 1969, the product was discontinued. Today, Kugel-flavored peanut butter is remembered as a daring but short-lived experiment that illustrates the 1960s willingness to push conventional foods into quirky, novelty-driven territory.
Chocolate Kugel peanut spread. How does it taste?
The late 1960s saw unconventional snack experimentation, and Godyshev represents one of the era's more unusual attempts. Introduced in 1969, the snack consisted of sweetened baked noodles packaged as a candy-like treat. Its creators aimed to provide children with a unique, crunchy, and sweet alternative to standard cookies and candy bars. The packaging was colorful and aimed at capturing the attention of young consumers, while the marketing emphasized novelty and fun. However, the concept proved too eccentric for widespread adoption. Many consumers found the texture inconsistent, and the flavor did not appeal to typical snack preferences, making repeat purchases rare. Competing against more familiar treats like cookies, chocolate bars, and cereal, Godyshev could not gain traction in the market. Within a year, it was quietly discontinued. Today, it stands as a curious example of 1960s snack experimentation, reflecting a period when innovation sometimes outpaced consumer taste and willingness to embrace unconventional flavors. Carnation breakfast bars were introduced in the 1960s as a convenient, on-the-go breakfast option designed for busy families and children. Designed to be a quick, portable alternative to a traditional morning meal, these bars promised energy and nutrition in a compact, pre-packaged form. The concept seemed perfectly suited for the fast-paced lifestyle that was emerging during the decade. However, despite heavy marketing, the product failed to resonate with consumers. The bars were often criticized for their overly sweet, artificial taste and dense, unappealing texture. Many found them unsatisfying compared to a proper breakfast or other emerging cereal products. As a result, Carnation breakfast bars struggled to maintain shelf presence and eventually faded into obscurity, remembered today as a curious 1960s snack experiment.